Most people think making a Japanese car last forever is about spending more money, but the real difference comes from small secrets that cost absolutely nothing and quietly decide whether the car feels strong at 800,000 miles or already half-finished long before that. In this video, I'm showing you some of the best ones. So, let's begin. Number 1. Stop topping off the fuel tank. A lot of owners think they are being smart when they keep squeezing fuel in after the pump clicks off. They want a round number, a fuller tank, or a little more range before the next stop. That habit is one of the easiest ways to create a stupid repair bill for no reason. Toyota owner manuals explicitly warn not to keep topping off after the automatic shutoff because it can spill fuel and cause fuel overflow. What people do not think about is where that extra fuel goes. The tank system is designed with vapor space and an evaporative emissions system. Once you force fuel past the normal fill point, that system can start dealing with liquid fuel where it wanted vapor. That is how owners end up with evap problems, check engine lights, and the kind of small emissions repair that feels insulting because it came from a fueling habit, not from real wear. A customer I spoke to once had a late-model Toyota with an intermittent evap fault and could not understand why it kept returning after he cleared it. When I asked how he filled the car, he admitted he always kept pumping after the first click because he hated wasting space in the tank. That is exactly the kind of thing that sounds harmless until you price the parts and diagnostic time. Depending on the car and what gets affected, you can turn a $0 habit into a $200 to $600 annoyance very easily. The best part is how easy the fix is. The nozzle clicks, you stop. That is it. No part to buy, no product to install, no maintenance schedule to remember. Just stop trying to outsmart the fuel system. If the goal is crazy mileage without major repairs, this is exactly the kind of free habit that matters because it prevents damage before the owner even realizes they are causing it. Number 2. Never hold the car on a hill with the gas pedal. One of the fastest ways to add heat and wear to a transmission is to hold the car on a hill with the throttle instead of the brake. Owners do it all the time in traffic, at parking garage ramps, drive-thrus, steep junctions, anywhere they do not feel like moving from one pedal to the other. Honda's owner guidance is very clear. Use the brake pedal to keep the vehicle from moving on an uphill grade, not the accelerator. This matters because what feels like a small driving habit is really a heat habit. You are asking the drivetrain to fight gravity when the car should just be resting on the brake. Do that enough times over months and years, especially in heavier automatics and crossovers, and you are adding stress where you do not need it. That does not mean the transmission explodes tomorrow. It means you are quietly aging it faster for absolutely no gain. I explained this once to a guy who said his car always felt hot and strained after crawling up the ramps in his underground car park. He was holding it on the throttle every single day because he thought using the brake looked clumsy. He was literally choosing the worst technique in the exact place where the car needed the opposite. And this is why I like this as a $0 secret. It does not ask the owner to spend anything or even learn a new maintenance job. It just asks them to stop doing something destructive that a lot of people think is normal. Brake pedal on the hill, throttle when it is time to move. Done. That tiny change costs nothing, looks boring, and can still save a transmission from years of pointless extra heat. Number 3. Don't rest your hand on the shifter. There are habits drivers do without thinking that slowly wear things they never meant to touch. Resting your hand on the shifter is one of them. It feels natural, especially on manuals, older cars, or people who drive one-handed a lot. Honda's manuals specifically warn not to drive with your hand resting on the shift lever because it can damage the transmission. What makes this such a good secret is how small it looks from the outside. Nobody does it thinking they are abusing the car. They do it because it is comfortable. But inside the system, that constant pressure is not free. Over a long enough timeline, unnecessary pressure through the shift mechanism can contribute to wear where there did not need to be any. And this is exactly the kind of thing that separates a car that feels tight at high mileage from one that starts feeling vague, sloppy, or expensive. I have seen owners baby their oil changes, warm the car properly, avoid cheap parts, and then sit there every day with their hand leaning on the shifter like they are trying to hold the transmission in place themselves. It is the same kind of contradiction as people who treat paint carefully but never wash the underbody. They are protecting the wrong thing while quietly wearing the right one. The beauty of this tip is that it costs absolutely nothing to fix. Take your hand off the lever. That is it. No fluid, no tools, no parts, no labor. And if someone keeps a Japanese manual car or old-school automatic for the long haul, those $0 habits are exactly the ones that start adding up over 200,000, 300,000, and 500,000 miles. Number 4. Come to a full stop before reverse. You can hear this habit before you even see it. A driver rolls backwards slightly, drops the lever into drive too early, then does the same thing again going into reverse while the car is still moving. It feels quick, efficient, and harmless. It isn't. That little lazy half-second is one of the easiest ways to add unnecessary shock to a transmission over years of ownership. A lot of people do this in parking spaces, three-point turns, tight driveways, and garage exits. The car is still creeping, but instead of letting it stop fully, they force the direction change early because they are in a rush. Honda warns against shifting to reverse before the car has come to a complete stop, and there is a reason for that. The transmission is not supposed to be your braking device between directions. That load has to go somewhere, and over time it starts showing up as harsher engagement, drivetrain clunk, and a car that feels more used than it should. techinfo.honda.com. I remember checking out an older Japanese sedan for a buyer who kept saying the transmission felt a little rough going into gear. It was not slipping. It was not failing dramatically. It just had that tired, thumpy feel you get when the car has spent years being shifted carelessly. That is exactly the kind of aging people create themselves and then blame on mileage. And this is what makes it such a strong $0 secret. You do not have to buy fluid, install anything, or change your route. You just stop the car completely before selecting reverse or drive, 1 extra second. That is it. People love talking about how to make a transmission last forever, then they beat it up in the supermarket car park every day without even noticing. Number 5. Get your foot off the clutch on manuals. One of the fastest ways to shorten the life of a manual transmission car is to drive with your foot hovering on the clutch pedal like it belongs there. A lot of drivers do it without thinking. Not a full press, just enough pressure to keep the pedal slightly loaded while cruising, waiting in traffic, or creeping forward. It feels harmless because the car still moves normally. It is not harmless at all. Honda's manual transmission guidance is very clear about not resting your foot on the clutch pedal. That little bit of constant pressure keeps parts working when they should be left alone, and over time it adds wear where the car never needed any. techinfo.honda.com. What makes this habit expensive is how invisible it is. The owner does not connect it to the bill later because nothing dramatic happens in the moment. Then one day the clutch feels wrong, engagement gets inconsistent, or the release system starts acting tired, and suddenly the car needs attention in an area that was supposed to last much longer. A clutch job can easily turn into $800 to $1,500 depending on the car, labor, and what else gets changed while everything is apart. That is a lot of money to waste on a habit that costs nothing to stop. And manual drivers are usually the exact people who say they really care about cars. That is the funny part. They will talk all day about engine oil, tire pressures, rev matching, and shift feel, then cruise around with their left foot half resting on the clutch the whole time. If someone really wants a manual Japanese car to live a ridiculously long life, this is basic discipline. Use the pedal when you need it, then get completely off it. Number 6. Keep the AC running year-round. A lot of owners treat air conditioning like a seasonal feature. Summer comes, they use it. Winter comes, they forget it exists. That sounds harmless until the system sits too long, moisture builds up where it should not, seals dry out, the cabin starts smelling stale, and then the first hot week of the year arrives and the AC suddenly needs work. Mazda has long recommended using the air conditioner periodically, even in colder months, because it helps reduce moisture in the air. That is the part most people miss. Running the AC is not just about cold air. It is also part of keeping the system and the cabin environment healthier. Mazdausa.com. This is one of the easiest $0 habits in the whole video because it takes no extra money and almost no extra thought. Turn it on regularly. Let it circulate. Let it do its job. In a lot of Japanese daily drivers, that one habit helps with window fogging, stale air, and the kind of damp cabin feel people complain about without realizing they helped create it. I had a customer once who swore his Japanese commuter had weak heating every winter because the windows kept fogging and the car felt damp inside. The heater was fine. The problem was that he never ran the AC because he thought cold weather meant the system should stay off for months. Once he started using it properly, the glass stayed clearer and the cabin stopped feeling clammy. That is exactly why this belongs on the list. People think preserving a car always means expensive maintenance. Sometimes it just means using the systems the way they were supposed to be used in the first place. Number 7. Keep door and body drain holes clear. Most owners only think about rust when they can already see it. By then, they are late. A lot of corrosion starts in the quietest possible way. Water sitting inside the doors, quarter panels, hatch, or lower body sections because the drain holes are packed with dirt and road sludge. The car still looks fine outside, still drives fine, still passes a quick glance in a parking lot, and meanwhile the inside of the body is staying wet far longer than it should. That is why this one matters so much for long-term ownership. It is not some cosmetic detail, it is body preservation. Those little drains at the bottom of the doors and body sections are there for a reason. Water gets in, water gets out, end of story. Once that system stops working, moisture hangs around and starts aging the car from places owners rarely inspect. It is one of the dumbest ways to shorten the life of a good Japanese car, especially in rainy areas, near the coast, or anywhere dirt and leaves build up easily. I have seen cars with perfectly decent engines and transmissions start feeling old because of this kind of neglect. Musty smell, damp lower trim, watermarks inside, rusty hardware where it should not be rusty yet. Then a simple body issue turns into broken clips, corroded connectors, sticky locks, and all the annoying ownership stuff people never budget for. And the fix costs nothing. Open the doors, look at the drain holes, clear the junk. Same idea with the lower body drains if the car has them. It takes minutes. Compare that with what happens when trapped water starts rotting seams, staining the interior, or creating corrosion where later repairs become slower and uglier. That is why people who get insane mileage out of cars stay ahead of stuff like this. They understand that keeping water moving out of the body is just as important as keeping oil moving through the engine. Number 8. Stop carrying dead weight. A lot of cars live their whole lives doing extra work for no reason. Open the trunk and you find toolboxes nobody uses, old gym bags, bottles of washer fluid rolling around for 6 months, random sports gear, boxes of cables, emergency junk, half a garage worth of dead weight. Then the owner talks about fuel economy dropping, brakes wearing faster, or the suspension feeling more tired than it should. Well, of course it does. The car has been carrying around nonsense every day. This is one of the most overlooked free habits on the list because people do not connect weight with wear in a direct way. But it all adds up. More weight means more effort every time the car accelerates, more load every time it brakes, more strain on shocks, springs, tires, and bushings over thousands and thousands of miles. One extra bag once in a while does not matter. Living year-round like the trunk is a storage unit absolutely does. I checked out an older Japanese commuter once that felt flatter and more sluggish than it should have. Before anybody blamed the engine, we looked in the back. It was carrying enough pointless junk to make the rear suspension work harder on every trip. Not enough to break the car in one go, but enough to make daily wear stack up faster than needed. This is why the habit matters if the goal is absurd mileage. You are trying to make the whole car's life easier, not harder. Less weight means easier starts, easier stops, less heat in the brakes, less work for the tires, and a little less fuel burned every week. $0 secret, zero effort, real payoff. People will obsess over premium oil and forget they are hauling around an extra 80 pounds of rubbish for 2 years straight. That makes no sense at all. Number 9. Stay out of the red zone and don't drive at needlessly high RPM. A lot of owners think engine wear only comes from abuse so obvious that everyone would recognize it. Smoking the tires, bouncing off the limiter, racing from every light. Real life is usually more subtle than that. It is the person who drives 1 or 2 gears lower than needed all the time. The one who holds gears forever because it feels more responsive. The one who keeps the engine spinning higher than necessary on every motorway merge, every hill, every empty stretch of road. That is wasted wear. Not dramatic, not exciting, just wasted. Japanese engines are strong, but strength is not the same thing as needing to live at elevated RPM for no reason. Every extra rev means more movement, more heat, more cycles, more fuel, and more long-term stress where none of it was necessary. If the car can do the job at 2,300 revolutions per minute, there is no prize for making it do it at 3,800 all day. This is especially true on owners who plan to keep the car forever. They say they want 400,000 or 500,000 miles, then drive like every on-ramp is a personal event. That contradiction shows up over time. Engines that have been needlessly revved hard for years just feel more used. Sometimes it shows in oil consumption, sometimes in noise, sometimes in how tired the drivetrain feels compared with a car that lived an easier life. And this tip costs nothing to follow. You do not have to drive slowly. You do not have to drive like you are scared of the throttle. You just stop asking the engine to work harder than the situation requires. There is a huge difference between using the power when it makes sense and casually burning through engine life because higher RPM became your default setting. That difference is exactly the sort of thing that shows up deep into high mileage, when some cars still feel fresh and others clearly do not. Number 10. Replace serpentine belts and tensioners before they start chirping. Some owners use noise as a maintenance schedule. If the belt is quiet, they leave it alone. If it starts chirping on cold mornings or squealing for a second on startup, then they think about it. That is backward. By the time the serpentine belt system starts talking, it has usually been wearing down for a while. The belt, the tensioner, the idler pulleys, they all age together, and waiting for a soundtrack is how people turn a simple job into a badly timed problem. What makes this one so important for long-term ownership is how much depends on that belt drive. Alternator, water pump on some setups, AC compressor, and the overall health of the accessory system. When it is working right, nobody notices it. When it is tired, the whole front of the engine starts sounding older and less sorted than it should. Then, one rainy night or one hot day, the owner gets stranded by something that had been trying to warn them for months. I saw a high-mileage Japanese sedan once where the owner kept ignoring a startup chirp because it always went away after a minute. Eventually, the belt system did what tired belt systems do. It stopped being a little noise and started being a real problem. What should have been a planned service became a tow and a much worse day. That is why careful owners stay ahead of this. Belt and tensioner service is not glamorous, but it is clean, predictable maintenance when done early. Leave it until the system starts speaking loudly enough that you cannot ignore it, and now you are letting chance pick the timing. Anyone serious about huge mileage knows that is a stupid bet.